When the great glaciers of the last ice age retreated, they left behind a landscape scraped raw. Stone, gravel, and thin, wounded soil. Birch was one of the first trees to return to the land. Let's explore this marvelous magical tree. Welcome to Otherworldly Lore. Here, we gently turn the pages of the arcane, occult, paranormal, and mythic. This is a place for restless spirits and ancient rites, for hearthside wisdom and hedge magic, the kind of lore that's been waiting to be rediscovered. So whether you're drawn to myth or mystery, to folklore or the faint sound of footsteps in an empty hallway, there's room for you here. Quick to take root and tolerant of harsh conditions, birch spreads rapidly after fire, logging, or ice, often rising in dense thickets where competition is fierce. This speed comes at a cost, though. Birches rarely become a long-lived pinnacle species. Instead, it is a regenerative force, stabilizing damaged land and preparing it for what comes next. Long before ecologists called birch a pioneer species, people understood exactly what that role meant. In Celtic mythology, birch is the tree of renewal, purification, and fresh starts. Known as Be in Gaelic, it holds the first position in the Ogham, the Celtic tree alphabet. In Ogham, it represents the letter B, marked by a single line extending from the central stem. Its placement is quite deliberate. Birch belongs to thresholds and turning points, moments when the old must be cleared away to make room for something new. That symbolism placed birch at the heart of Samhain, the festival marking the beginning of the Celtic year and what we now recognize as Halloween. Samhain was a time of cleansing, both spiritual and practical. Bundles of birch twigs were used to symbolically drive out the spirits of the old year, making space for the cycle to begin again. That purifying role never fully faded. Birch besoms, traditional brooms made from birch twigs, are still used to sweep and cleanse gardens and homes. In folklore, the besom became inseparable from witchcraft, evolving into the iconic witch's broomstick. Birchwood was believed to carry protective, liminal qualities, making it ideal for ritual tools and boundary work. Birch is not only a tree of endings and renewal, but also one of fertility and growth. This aspect comes into focus at Beltane, the festival marking the start of the summer half of the Celtic year, celebrated today as May Day. In Scotland, Beltane fires were often built with birch and oak, uniting youth and strength and flame. Birch trees were also raised as maypoles, sometimes cut, sometimes living, dressed with ribbons and danced around as symbol of life returning in full force. As one of the first trees to leaf in spring, birch naturally becomes a herald of warmth, light, and abundance. Love and fertility goddesses across northern Europe are closely associated with birch. Frigga and Freya, figures tied to love, motherhood, and prosperity, share this connection. The Anglo-Saxon goddess Yoster, whose name survives in the word Easter, was honored from the spring equinox through Beltane, with birch playing a central role in her celebrations. Even in latter astrological and herbal traditions, birch retained its sensual and life-giving reputation. The medieval herbalist Nicholas Culpeper wrote that birch was ruled by Venus, the planet and goddess of love. In Highland folklore, this belief took on practical form. A barren cow herded with a birch stick was thought to become fertile, while a pregnant cow was believed more likely to bear a healthy calf. Language preserves birch's luminous presence. The word birch comes from the Proto-Indo-European root, berig, meaning to shine, or bright white, a clear reference to its pale bark. Bay appears throughout the Scottish Highlands in place names, and anglicized forms appear across Britain, especially in the north. Poets were equally drawn to its appearance. Alfred Lord Tennyson popularized the image of the silver birch, while Samuel Taylor Coleridge called it the Lady of the Woods, likely echoing older folk names that framed the tree as elegant, protective, and quietly powerful. Birch was not only admired but depended on. Its wood is tough, straight-grained, and resilient, making it well-suited for handles, toys, tools, and turned objects. During the height of the cotton industry, birch was used for bobbins, spools, and reels that endured constant wear. Cradles were often made from birch wood, drawing directly on its symbolism to safe beginnings. Birch bark, particularly paper and yellow birch, has excellent fire-starting properties. Even a small strip of outer bark will ignite easily, a fact long understood by cultures across the world. Long before modern paper existed, birch bark served as a writing surface in multiple traditions. In the United States, paper birch was used by many Native American tribes for baskets, arrow quivers, and canoes. Every part of the tree found a purpose. Branches were burned as fuel in whiskey distillation, while finer spray was prized for smoking hams and herrings, preferred above other woods for the flavor it imparted. Bark was used for tanning leather and, when dried and twisted, as a substitute for candles. Birch spray was woven into thatching and laid on the ground for sleeping when heather was scarce. In spring, the rising sap was tapped and fermented into birch wine, a tradition that continues in parts of the highlands today. Older sources claim Druids brewed the sap into a cordial to celebrate the spring equinox, drinking in the returning light. Birch also has many medicinal properties. Folklore and herbalism credit the leaves with diuretic and antiseptic properties, using them to treat urinary tract infections such as cystitis, as well as kidney stones, rheumatism, and gout. Birch sap was recommended for skin complaints, while the bark was applied externally to ease muscle pain. Black birch, rich in salicylates and oil of wintergreen, was especially valued for soothing sore muscles and aching joints. Internally, black birch tea functions as both a diaphoretic and a diuretic, encouraging circulation and the movement of stagnant tissues. In some American traditions, the leaves and twigs were gathered in midsummer to make a tonic tea used for digestive complaints, to treat severe diarrhea, and general weakness. In folk magic, birch is deeply protective. Bundles of birch twigs placed along property boundaries were believed to ward off ill intent and bad luck. Birch trees tied with red and white cloth were set near stable doors to drive away troublesome elves, said to knot horses' manes and exhaust livestock. Cradles made from birch were thought to protect infants from being stolen by fairies. Birch rods were used in European folk rituals to drive out harmful spirits, while a birch bough or carving near the front door was believed to keep ill wishers from entering. Birch is tied to illumination. Its bark's abilities to catch fire easily, even when damp, connects it to insight and the return of light in dark places. This association deepens its link to spring and new beginnings. Birch offers renewal on every level, restoring damaged forests, cleansing the human body, and renewing the spirit. It bends easily, inviting children to climb and rest, teaching resilience through flexibility rather than force. In magical practice, birch is invoked for new beginnings, protection, and clarity. A birch besom swept through a home at Yuletide clears away old energy so blessings can enter with the new year. A wand made from birch is favored for protective magic and inspiration. Wishes written on birch paper and burned are said to find their way into the world. Birch bark burned as incense purifies ritual space, while the birch log burned at Yule is said to bring luck and prosperity for the coming spring. From ice-scoured wastelands to sacred groves, from cradles to broomsticks, birch stands at the edge of change. It is a tree that arrives first and lingers quietly, pale against the darker woods, reminding us that after devastation, life does not simply return. It begins again.